Bronco fans and football fans everywhere. Welcome to Broncos Breakdown on the MHRT Network. This is a show that is everything Broncos and sports topics in general. I am your host, Bronco Bill. Well, guys, thanks for joining me. And we have a lot of topics. I have a lot of topics to bring to your attention. It's been a very, very busy last couple of days. Obviously with the free agency, and we do have a surprise return. I'll get into that in a little bit. Let's start out with Calvin Anderson and Andrew Beck. Now, Anderson and Beck both get one-year deals. Anderson figures to be in the mix for the right tackle spot, and Beck figures to be on special teams as Devante Spencer won't be tendered. Now, that's great. We need offensive line. We need help on the right tackle side, like we do in the entire offensive line, because we need to keep Russell Wilson upright. We need to keep him healthy, and we need to keep him as our starting quarterback. We don't have a Teddy Bridgewater anymore. I'll get into that in a little bit. But all we have now is Rippon as a backup. I felt that Teddy Bridgewater would have been a better backup because he has the same type of style as a Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson obviously is much better, and that's why he was to be the starting quarterback. But a Teddy Bridgewater does have the wheels. He does have the legs. He is mobile. Yes, he has concussion issues. That is obvious. He's been injured as of late. But I still feel that he would have been a better backup to a Russell Wilson as opposed to a Rippon. They're two different type of quarterbacks. Do I think it's bad that we have Rippon? No, I don't. But I do feel that Teddy Bridgewater would have been a better backup than a Rippon. Speaking of Teddy Bridgewater, Teddy Bridgewater has signed a one-year deal with the Miami Dolphins. Now, the interesting part of him signing with the Dolphins is it's not for the starting position. It's for a backup to Tua. Do I feel that Teddy Bridgewater should be the starting quarterback there? I don't know. I'm not the GM. But I find it interesting that Teddy Bridgewater would go to a team where he's a backup as opposed to a starter. Now, maybe the concussion issue has a lot to play into it. Maybe other issues of age or maybe the way it fits into the scheme of the head coach. I don't know. But I'm glad that Teddy Bridgewater is still playing if that's what he wants. I feel, though, that his injuries and his concussion issues are not conducive to him being the starter. Maybe that has a lot, like I mentioned, maybe that has a lot to do with why he's a backup and not the starter. But I wish Teddy Bridgewater all the best. I hope he stays healthy. I hope that it works out for what he wants to do. I really do. I like Teddy Bridgewater, and I would, like I said, I wish him all the best. All right, let's get into Randy Gregory. Now, this is interesting because Randy Gregory was going to re-sign with the Dallas Cowboys. But in the very last moments before he inked his signature on the contract, the Cowboys pulled a fast one. And Dallas wanted to insert language that wasn't agreed upon by the Gregory camp, meaning himself and his agent. What language was that? We don't know. But Gregory said, you know what? You're going to pull something like this? Nope. I am not signing with you. Well, who did he sign with? Or did he sign with anybody? Yes, he did. In an abrupt move, Randy Gregory has turned down the Cowboys' offer and instead will sign with the Denver Broncos for the same contract of 5 years, $70 million, $28 million guaranteed. This all comes after it was obvious that Von Miller was too expensive for Denver to bring back. Do I like this hire? Yes and no. Yes, because we definitely can use his talent. We definitely could use his gameplay on the field. What I don't like is his quote gameplay off the field. He abused his wife. Do I condone that? Absolutely not. And I don't appreciate and I don't like to have the Broncos sign players that have a off the field issues. I don't like it. I don't like it because I don't trust that it won't happen again. Things like that usually do happen again. I'm not going to bring up past names of people who've done things, but I don't like it. Is it a pattern? I don't know. I sure hope not. I hope it doesn't repeat its ugly head again. But let's say, okay, for the sake of argument, for just this conversation, let's say a year or two down the road, this happens again. Something like this happens again. He's suspended from the league, but Denver still owes him $28 million. That's what I don't like, guys. I don't know if this is going to happen again. I sure the heck hope not. I hope this is in his rearview mirror, so to speak, as well as Dallas in his rearview mirror is. I hope this is behind him. But I don't know. And that's what bothers me. When you sign a person to this length of a contract and this amount of money, you hope and pray it doesn't happen again. But on the field, yes, I like his play on the field. I think it's a great signing for his play on the field. Let's hope it stays right there and nothing happens off the field. That's my hope. That's my wish. I hope that comes to fruition. I really do. Okay, let's move on to a new person with a very, very familiar name that could possibly be the Broncos' new owner. Here it is. Rob Walton. That's right, guys. The Walton heir from his dad is putting in a bid and interested in buying the Denver Broncos. Rob Walton is the son of the Walmart's founder. He is interested in buying the Denver Broncos. Now, Forbes has listed Rob Walton as having a net worth of $65.2 billion. Let me repeat that. $65.2 billion is what is estimated to be Rob Walton's net worth. The Broncos are reported to be garnishing anywhere from $4 to $4.5 billion to buy the team. Can he afford it? Yeah, pocket change to him. So he dropped from $65.2 billion to $61.2 billion. Pocket change, like I said. But do I want a Walmart owner, Walmart person to own the Denver Broncos? Now, I don't know where Walmart's headquarters. I think it's somewhere back in, I don't know, Oklahoma, Alabama, Arkansas. I think it's Arkansas somewhere. Anyways, do I want him to own the Denver Broncos? What if after a year or two he says, I kind of want the Broncos to be a little bit closer to my headquarters for Walmart in Arkansas? So you have the Arkansas Broncos. Really? Or do I want Robert Smith, who has changed his mind and is now back into the mix for wanting to own the Denver Broncos? So Robert Smith is back on the list to be the Broncos' new owner. He has had a change of heart and now wants to put in a bid to purchase the Broncos. Now, the reason why I want Robert Smith, I mean, he can't touch the $65.2 billion that Rob Walton has, but he doesn't need to. He just has to be the highest bidder that the NFL wants. And the NFL has been pushing for Robert Smith to enter the auction process. Why? Twofold. One, he's African-American, be the first African-American owner of a football franchise in the NFL. And two, because he's a Bronco native, Bronco fan. He loves Colorado. He loves Denver. He loves the Broncos. He understands Broncos country. I'm not sure Rob Walton does. I'm not sure Rob Walton even is a fan of the Broncos. I don't know. But I know Robert Smith is. And I would love to have a Robert Smith who appreciates Broncos country, who knows what this fan base is about, and will not uproot this team out of Colorado, out of Denver, out of Broncos country. He, in my opinion, wouldn't do that. I don't know if Rob Walton would. And that's what scares me. I want this team to remain in Denver. I want this team to be owned by an owner that has the same interest that a Pat Bowlen had. The love of the team, the love of the city, the love of the fan base. And I cannot say that when it comes to Rob Walton, but I'm pretty sure I can say it when it comes to Robert Smith. So let's hope that Robert Smith is the one that gets the Broncos ownership and not an outsider like a Rob Walton, who I don't trust. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to Tom Brady. Yes, that Tom Brady, the one who, quote, and I say quote because it wasn't etched in stone, or in this case, ink, but Tom Brady is not done with football. He has informed the league and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that he is returning to play in the 2022 season. Now, I mentioned in videos past, guys, that Tom Brady never signed the paperwork, never turned it into the league that he was officially retiring. Sure, he went around telling people that he was retiring. He told the media he was retiring. I did the same thing when in my job. I went around saying, I'm going to retire this year, or I'm going to retire in 6 months, or I'm going to retire blah, 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 whenever. But until I signed that paper and turned it in, it wasn't official. And neither was Tom Brady's. So it's not official that he's retiring. It's official that he's coming back. Uh-oh. That takes me to, you guessed it, guys. You guessed it. The Jackass of the week. Okay, guys. Now, is Tom Brady the Jackass of the week? Not directly. But let me give you the story behind why this is the Jackass of the week. Here it is. This past weekend, Tom Brady's final touchdown pass to Mike Evans was auctioned off for a reported $518,000. Then hours later, Tom Brady announces that he's returning to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to play in the 2022 season. The buyer's name has been withheld. I don't blame him. But the purchase thought to be a crown jewel turns out to be an expensive, ordinary Brady TD pass. Oops. So let me put this in perspective, guys. So this past weekend was an auction for Tom Brady's quote final touchdown pass of his career. And the guy buys it for $518,000. Says, man, I got a gem. I got a crown jewel. One of the greatest quarterbacks, arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, possibly the greatest, but I'm not going to dive into reasons why it's debatable. But to think that you have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, you've got his football that he threw in the playoff game against the Rams. It was his final touchdown pass of his career. You're like, man, I'm on cloud 9. I can sell this for millions down the road. Goes to bed that night, wakes up the next morning and goes, ah! Oh, no. Oh, no. Gets on the phone, calls his buddies. Hey, guys, is this true? Tom Brady can't be coming back. I just bought this football for over $500,000. You've got to be kidding me. He's looking at news stations. He is calling his buddies. He's going on Twitter. He's going on sports talk shows. And all he hears, Tom Brady's back. Tom Brady did not retire. People have even saying he unretired. You can't unretire if you haven't retired. And he never officially retired. So in my book, he never retired. Wasn't official. And this guy is sitting there looking at a football that he paid $518,000 to buy. Lucky for the other guy. Lucky for the guy who sold it, no doubt. But not for this guy. How would you like to be that guy? Realizing that a football that you paid $518,000 worth is probably only worth $5.18 now. The shock that must have gone through that guy's mind. I don't mean to laugh, but wow. Is Tom Brady the jackass of the week? Nope. Is this guy the jackass of the week? Well, not when he bought it, obviously. But the next day, yeah. Should have waited. Should have waited till after the 16th when Tom Brady had to announce or sign, I should say, and turn in by the 16th of March to be official. The guy, whoever sold it, put the auction up, was brilliant to do it before the 16th. The guy who bought it, well, what can I say? The only thing I can say, guys, is jackass of the week of a $518,000 purchase of a football that is not worth that now. All right, guys, let's exit out of this and we'll get back to the other topics. All right, guys. Now, one of my viewers, one of my subscribers, sent me a question that he wanted me to address, and I addressed it, but I'm going to address it here on this show as well. He goes by the handle of All Out Broncos 1858. Now, his question is this: do you think the Broncos are Super Bowl contenders with Russell Wilson? My answer, twofold: yes and no. Yes, I think the Broncos are Super Bowl contenders. I just don't think it is going to be this season. And the reason why I say that is simply this. Russell Wilson played his first 10 years in Seattle. And he was familiar with the coaching staff, familiar with the players, familiar with the game playbook. He comes to Denver, new coaching staff, new players, new playbook, new scheme. Do I feel the Broncos will have a winning record this year? Excuse me. Absolutely, I do. Do I think they're Super Bowl contenders? Not necessarily. I do feel, though, that they will be next year, 2023, because Russell Wilson will have a year under his belt with this coaching staff, with Clint Kubiak as his quarterbacks coach, with Nathaniel Hackett as his head coach. Yes, I do feel he will grasp the system rather quickly. It's going to take some time, though, to get the chemistry with his receivers, get the chemistry with the running back, with the offensive line. It's going to take some time. Can that happen in the first 4, 5, 6 games of the new season? Sure it can. But I don't feel that the Broncos will be instant Super Bowl contenders in 2022. However, I do feel they will be come 2023. It'll be, like I said, year under his belt, and the Broncos, I firmly believe, will surprise a lot of teams and be that good within a year. So thanks, All Out Broncos 1858 for asking that question. Appreciate it, and then we move on. All right, this is interesting. Now, Mitchell Trubisky has signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers as their new quarterback. He signed for 2 years, but the details of that contract were not revealed. Wow. Pittsburgh goes from having Ben Roethlisberger as a quarterback, which he retired this past year. They go from a Ben Roethlisberger-led team to now a Mitchell Trubisky-led team. What are the Steelers going to look like? I don't think they're going to look good at all. Trubisky wasn't all that in Chicago. He wasn't anywhere close to leading that team to a championship. Now, would a new location, new coaching staff, new players, could all that play into a better record? Possibly, sure. But I just find it very interesting that Pittsburgh would get a Trubisky. I just don't see that as fitting in. Do I care? No, I'm not a Steelers fan, obviously. I could care less. In fact, I want them to be bad. So whenever we do play them, it's pretty much a win. But I say that about all the other 31 teams because I want all of them to be worse than Denver, obviously. I just find it interesting that Trubisky, or I should say not him personally, but the Steelers would go after him and not other free agent quarterbacks that were out there. Maybe those quarterbacks didn't want to go to Pittsburgh. I don't blame them one bit. Well, that's interesting. I just thought that was a weird move by the Steelers going after Mitchell Trubisky. Okay, now let's move on to. Told you guys there's a lot of topics. Let's talk about Chris Harris Jr. Now, Chris Harris Jr., a former Bronco, went to the Chargers last year, is now a free agent. Should the Broncos bring him back in a reunion with the Broncos secondary? Well, I like Chris Harris Jr. I really do. I think he's a very, very good quality defender. I really do. And some people have said, no, they don't want him back. I say, why not? Why not bring back a Chris Harris Jr.? He knows the Broncos. He would fit in. I mean, he knows the guys that are there. Played with the Justin Simmons. He played with these guys on defense. Sure. New defensive coordinator, new head coach, all of this. I get it. But that's what he got when he went to the Chargers. It was a new team, new players, new coaching staff. Why not bring him back? Bring him back for a year or two. I think it would be a smart move. He could bring his experience to these younger guys. He could bring his experience to these younger guys. Why not? I say bring him back. Don't mortgage a farm on it, obviously. And that's not what George Payton is doing because obviously, Von Miller's too expensive. So he's not going to bring back expensive players. I don't think Chris Harris Jr. would be that expensive. I really don't. I think it would be a great move. He would be great in the locker room. He'd be a great leader along with Justin Simmons. I say, why not? What do you guys say? Chime in. Let me know what you think. Yay or nay? I say, bring back Chris Harris Jr. Absolutely. All right. Let's go to another twist to a Green Bay Packer, which seems to be, par for the course now. You remember that Aaron Rodgers said he was not going to play for the Green Bay Packers. I'm not playing Green Bay ever again. Basically you do what I say or I'm not coming back. Oh, you're throwing that kind of money out? All right, I'll come back. Well, now we got a follow-up to that. Devante Adams. Now, Devante Adams has said, and I quote, "I won't play for the Packers on a franchise tag," end quote. Okay. So you're gonna play in Aaron Rodgers? You're gonna do what he did and hold out until they give you the money you want, and then you're gonna come back? Is that the way people do business transactions now? Is they basically hold the owner, GM, players, fans hostage? Is that what you do? That's how the game's played now? Off the field? I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. You're getting paid millions, even on the franchise tag. Why don't you just be happy, let your agent work behind the scenes, and you go out there and do what you, like I said before, what 99% of football fans would love to do and love to make that kind of money. Why don't you just shut your trap and go play football? Nope. That's not the new Packer way. The new Packer way is to hold the owner, GM, fans, and everybody else hostage till you get what you want because you're a baby and you gotta have it your way. I don't get these prima donnas. I really don't. I don't understand why they act the way they do. It just irritates me. Would I want a Devante Adams on the Broncos? Not with that attitude. Like I've mentioned before, I don't condone things like this. I want players that want to play. That's why I like a Russell Wilson. He wants to play for Denver. He didn't hold Seattle hostage. He didn't do any of that. He let his agent take care of it. Sure, he had a no trade clause that he vetoed on a Washington, whatever they're called now, Commanders or something. He vetoed that. He said he only wanted to play for Denver. Why? Because he wants to play on a championship quality team. But he didn't hold Seattle hostage like Rodgers did, and like now Devante Adams is doing. So hey, stay in Green Bay. Hope you don't win anything with that attitude. Okay, so that's how the game's played in Green Bay. Wish you all the best in a negative way. All right, I move on. Deshaun Watson. Now, the grand jury declines to indict Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson following allegations of sexual misconduct. What does that mean for the league? Does the league now take charge of the situation now that's been thrown out in the courts? Does the NFL suspend him? Well, basically they already did because he didn't play football at all last year. Not that the NFL had any direct hand in that. It was mostly from the Houston Texans. But still, where does that leave Deshaun Watson? Now, he said that he's vetoed every other team but the New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers as the two teams he wants to go to. Okay, maybe he wants to stay in the South. Carolina, New Orleans. Maybe that's where he wants to be, obviously, since he vetoed all the other ones. Nothing has happened. No move has taken place as far as trading him to either one of those teams. So does Deshaun Watson play in the NFL again? Do those two teams take a chance on him? What would you guys do? If we had not gotten a Russell Wilson, would you have wanted a Deshaun Watson in Denver? Me? Absolutely not. Again, it goes back to the off-field incidents. I don't like off-field issues. I don't like baggage coming with a team coming with a player to a team that it could happen again. I don't like that. So I would not want Deshaun Watson coming to Denver. And thank goodness he's not, because we have a Russell Wilson. Do I wish Deshaun Watson all the best? Sure. I hope he has learned from those accusations, even though there was no prosecution by the grand jury. I wish him the best. I'm just glad he's not on the Denver Broncos. All right. Now, let's go to J.C. Jackson. Now, for those of you who do not know who a J.C. Jackson is, he last played for the New England Patriots. Wow, where'd that come from? Okay, J.C. Jackson, former Patriots cornerback, has signed a 5-year, $82.5 million deal with the LA Chargers. $40 million of the $82.5 is guaranteed, with $28 million coming in his very first year. Does that scare the daylights out of me as a Broncos fan? Absolutely. It comes on the heels of the Khalil Mack signing, or I should say, it's Khalil Mack trade with the Chicago Bears that the Chargers made earlier last week. Now they get J.C. Jackson on a 5-year deal, cornerback. You know who he's going to go up against. He's going to go up against probably Courtland Sutton. Sure, that leaves other players like Tim Patrick or Jerry Jeudy or Oka Webenam free and open. Not necessarily open, but having J.C. Jackson on the Chargers and Khalil Mack opposite of Joey Bosa and having Justin Herbert as their quarterback and all those weapons does not bode well for Denver. Do I think that Denver's in trouble, per se, playing the Chargers twice a year? Well, obviously. Same with Kansas City. Same with the Raiders. Any given Sunday, guys. But this just puts another thorn in the Broncos' offense going up against J.C. Jackson for 5 years. Does it scare me? Not necessarily. But like I said, it's a thorn in the side of the Denver Broncos when it comes to offensive game planning against that defense that we have to face twice a year. And remember, Russell Wilson has not beaten the Chargers in his 10-year career. Sure, they only play each other maybe once every 4 years, but still, that's twice, at least twice, maybe 3 times. But a minimum, you've played him twice. It has not beaten him. Let's hope that changes, even though the Chargers signed a J.C. Jackson to 5-year contract. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up with a very interesting conclusion to this video. Reggie Wayne. Now, Reggie Wayne was a great receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. He played with Peyton Manning and won a Super Bowl with the Colts, along with Peyton Manning in Indianapolis. Well, Reggie Wayne is back in the NFL, but not as a player, but as a coach. Reggie Wayne is back with the Colts and brings 14 years of NFL experience to their offense. Now, is he going to be the wide receiver coach? I don't know. It wasn't revealed. I would assume so. I would assume he would be some type of assistant, either to the wide receiver coach or he'd be an assistant to the head coach of some sort. But Reggie Wayne is back in the NFL as a coach for the Indianapolis Colts. The reason why I say this is interesting is I'm wondering if maybe a Peyton Manning would come back and be a coach. There's been speculation that he'd be a great head coach. I would have to agree with that. I just don't want him to be a head coach of one of our rival teams. But I'd far rather have a Peyton Manning as part owner or the face of an ownership group in Denver than I would on the sidelines and following a Reggie Wayne type of move. Well, I congratulate Reggie Wayne on that. He was a great receiver, like I said, a phenomenal player, great attitude. And I think that is a great move by the Indianapolis Colts to bring in a Reggie Wayne to be part of their offensive staff there in Indianapolis. That's it, guys. That's all I have. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And remember, tune in on Tuesdays on the MHRT network for the brand new, redesigned, reshaped, revamped 5280 podcast on Tuesdays, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Also, on Tuesday on YouTube, my channel, Broncos Breakdown, is posted every Tuesday, 4, 5, 6, and 7, as well as on Wednesday, 4, 5, 6, and 7 on a premiere on the MHRT network, where you could chime in on live chat. You can, on the topics that I bring up. So please tune into that on Wednesday. On Thursday is Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast, hosted by Johnny and his sidekick co-host Isaiah. Tune into that again, live 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then on Friday, you have the Rough Draft, hosted by Isaiah, uploaded every Friday, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Thanks again, guys, for subscribing. Thanks for watching. We will talk to you next Tuesday and Wednesday right here, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Have a great rest of the week, guys. We'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.